From17 once again, introducing you to my Darksiders 2 Apocalyptic difficulty video walkthrough. I don't know about your guys, but I find it really ironic that this game teaches you how to lock on after you've just spent 20 minutes fighting. It seems so redundant, and yet here it is. And that's the problem with this game at times. There are moments where it'll tell you to do things a couple of hours into the game because they shell out a lot of the abilities quite late. The pacing on it, as I've mentioned before, is pretty strange, and a lot of the times I think it's very bad, but not necessarily intrinsically a bad game. So now that we've arrived in this new place, you'll notice I've just destroyed all those tutorial enemies. I've just spoke to the maker, who's the bearded dude with the staff, and I'm trying to acclimatise my buttons right now because I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls, so every time I come back to this game it can be really difficult to, you know, I'm pressing A to touch stuff and it's B on this game, and silly things like that, like I press B to evade and then get punched. A lot of silliness that can happen when you play games close together, because I don't know about your guys, but my brain just doesn't process it sometimes. It just puts it all together and ends up, you know, bumfucking me sometimes. But a couple of things to bear in mind with this game. When you're close enough to things like loot and chests, they do show up on your minimap, so if you're ever wondering where some of them are, you can check your map. One thing you will notice on this guide is I'm going to miss Vulgrim tokens, I'm going to miss relics, I'm going to miss chests, I'm going to miss a lot of things. And I know there's a lot of people on YouTube that enjoy to mention things that get missed and enjoy to point out some stuff that I might not know. And that's all good and well if you're going to do that. You just might want to save yourself some effort and time, because I'm literally going to be missing stuff that I can see because there's no real need for it. This is going to be the fastest walkthrough I can make. It's just literally because this game is a 20-hour game, and condensing a 20-hour game down to something, you know, less than 20 hours, the only way I can do it is to really know what I'm doing and get through it with both skill and editing, hopefully. So that's the reason why I'm skipping all the conversations, and I only buy one move off this guy, good old Thane, who you can fight for a quest. He's very difficult apparently early on, but I didn't have all that much trouble with him, but apparently if he hits you a couple of times you can die, so just be careful with that if you decide to do him. But this move here is free, you don't have to purchase it, and what this enables you to do is to chain an attack after you dodge. That's my phone, and that's my girlfriend asking me some YouTube questions, which is very strange because she's usually a spectator more than a partaker. But once you come up into the maker's area in Tristone, there's a lot of people to talk to in here. There's this lady who I don't know the name of. Whenever you see a dialogue tree and there's something highlighted in blue, that means that's the one you have to pick to progress the story. So if you want to do the side quests and you want to learn the fiction and the canon and everything, you want to do all the dialogue trees, because if you progress and you haven't spoken to these people, you will lose dialogue and you will lose storyline. And there is a lot of wealth of information in this game, and some of it is good. But once you've spoken to the blind lady, you can come over here to the redhead, and she's going to introduce us to this concept that this mountain used to flow with both fire and water. That enabled the forge to work. So now we have to basically start this foundry back up, and this is the beginning of the dungeons in the game. And the dungeons are an interesting topic for me because I actually stopped playing this game because I was burnt out on how many dungeons they put in the game. And for anybody who enjoys dungeons and puzzle solving and combat and all that kind of stuff in an element that is very dungeon-like, you're in for a treat, because this game throws them thick and fast. But when you consider that Majora's Mask, one of my all-time favourite games, pretty much only had 4 dungeons, 4 expertly crafted, extremely enjoyable and taxing dungeons, you do 4 dungeons on this game in about 20 minutes, because they throw them at you thick and fast. And I would take Majora's Mask's formula any day over 900 fucking dungeons that this game seems to do. Because there's something known as pacing in games, which I keep coming back to on this topic when I talk about Darksiders. And the Legend of Zelda pacing, which I don't know if they've intentionally gone away from, but they made this mistake in the first game, was you do an area, you discover a village, for instance, You talk to people in a village, you run around the village, you find some rupees, you know, you jump off some stupid stuff, you cut up some signs, you do the standard Zelda stuff. You'll have to excuse my voice, guys, I've just got up and my throat's all like fucking Barry White and shit. But you're running around the villages, you're talking to people, you might find some, you know, some side quests, things of that nature, you might find some secrets. And then something tells you that it needs something to do. It needs something to happen. Thus, that's your main quest. You move forward a little bit. Maybe you find a weapon. Maybe you do some fighting. And with that weapon, you then enter a dungeon. And in the dungeon, you know, you do your puzzles. You use the item you found to deal with things. You kill the boss. You come out of it. And then you're exploring again. You're exploring a new terrain, you might find a new town, you might find a new vista, you might do that. And there's pacing. Every so often there's pacing. There's moments of silence where there's no fighting, there's moments of exploration, there's moments of storytelling where you're learning things. And this game just doesn't seem to get that at all. And this is not a dig at the gameplay itself, because the gameplay is fine. When you get on a deeper level there's problems, but on a base level the gameplay is fun and enjoyable, and if you like the gameplay, more of it is surely is that not a bad thing? Is that, you know, it's got to be a good thing if there's lots of it. The angle that I'm coming from is the game never ever lets you appreciate what it is, because it's afraid to tell a story, because there's only a couple of conversations every so often and they're not frequent enough. It's afraid to show you cutscenes to really, you know, engross you into the fiction and get you interested. And it's afraid to let you run around sometimes, because these big areas that are filled, you know, with this beautiful geometry and this fantastic art style feel just devoid of life and empty. Sometimes you've got to move forward completely alone before you can even trigger enemies, and that's all there is. And then things along the lines of, you look in all the nooks and crannies and there's nothing there because the developers didn't put anything, so exploration feels redundant. There's a lot of things that I can't understand and I can't get behind with this game, because it's such a good game, it's got such a good vision. And if you're wondering what we're doing here, is I'm running around this first few hub areas, which are the only real areas of the game you're going to do this with, because the fast travel kind of eradicates the need to do it. And I could have probably fast travelled now, but I wanted to ride to show you the path to where you need to go. And I am picking up the chests I find along the way, just in case I do get some loot, because the loot on this game is random, and it's random and level locked, which I really dislike, because the level lock stops you from being able to get a fuck you weapon, and I enjoy being able to get that kind of stuff. But one principle that you're going to get into the habit of doing is, when you get a possessed weapon, check what type of weapon it is. If it's a weapon you enjoy, or if it's got particularly good stats, you want to immediately start upgrading it. And the upgrade paths that I'm going to recommend are the ones that I'm going to follow on the game. And that is health on critical, and critical chance, and critical damage. You can have some wrath on crit if you want to boost it. That definitely helps. And that's pretty much what I'm going to go towards. And what it enables you to do is, if you're aggressive and you're attacking and you have high critical chance, every time you hit a critical you will get life back, so it enables you to literally tank a lot of situations. And it's going to make a game kind of mashy at times, but this game is kind of mashy at times because they take a seemingly deep combat system which is actually quite shallow, and then they throw 50 dudes at you, so you can't even, you know, refine the subtle nuances of the fighting. You just have to bash a lot, which is a big shame. But if you ever see these things lying around, they are the tokens for Vulgrim. They enable you to get loot. You might wonder why I'm not looking for them. Well, the reason I don't look for them is because I'm just going to rely on the drops from the enemies. Those tokens are amazing when you take them to him and you get, you know, the purple chest, and sometimes you get something really good. But it's a lottery. And forgive me right there, I couldn't remember the button to submerge in water. So I'm just jumping around like an idiot. But yeah, health on critical, health on execute's good as well if you have high execution chance. You just really want to be getting life back for your actions. That's the main focus of the weapons, because that's what makes the game easier. And there's 2 upgrade paths on this game, and I'm going to talk about those now. Because the next video we're going to be getting into the first dungeon, which is the Cauldron, and before we get to that I might as well divulge the upgrade path I'm going to take. So there is an attacking upgrade path. you know, like an aggressive upgrade path and a support upgrade path. The aggressive one is abilities that enable you to fight and deal damage to numerous enemies in various ways, which is the left-hand path. And the right-hand path is the support path, which enables you to summon people to fight for you. It enables you to tank damage. It enables you to pretty much, you know, fight like a pussy. And I don't say that, you know, to go against anybody's fighting style. If you're using the supports, I bet there's some really good ways of chaining attacks that make everything super easy. And if you want to experiment with those and use those instead of the aggressive ones, feel free to do so. Because a lot of them involve summoning help, and when you summon help, by default you're going to have an easier time. So a lot of that stuff is probably really useful for the game. I'm just not going to go near it personally, because I don't see the point in having things fight for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move towards the untouchable ability, which is the one that I did on my first playthrough. So what I'll do is I'll put points into the teleport slash so that it heals me. So I've got, you know, kind of a multitask heal, which is not very good, and half the time I use that move I take damage instead of healing, so I'm not too sure how that move's even supposed to work. But I'm going to move towards that at first so I can use it as a heal, then I'm going to save my points, and then I'm going to put everything into untouchable. And then with my equipment, if I stack, you know, Wrath on critical, I can effectively attack to build up my critical bar. Then I can put points into untouchable, and when I do go into untouchable mode, not only do I do more damage, do I get more criticals, but I'll also generate more Wrath. And what happens is you go into untouchable mode, you go beast mode on everybody, and you fill your Wrath bar, so as soon as you come out of it, you're back in it, and you become pretty much a weapon that cannot be killed. And the functionality of this all depends on how good your weapon is upgraded, how well you've fed the weapon so that it gets all these bonuses. But if you do it correctly and you play intelligently, you will have an easy time with a lot of the bosses. But the possessed weapons are a random drop. Apparently they're really rare, so you might not get one. So I can only really show you the principles of the path that I'm going to take, and if you want to do the same, feel free to do so. But there's only about 6 hard fights on this game, and those fights are probably very easy when you've got the support path, so don't be afraid to dabble with both abilities. I don't know, I like to do the fighting myself, and I'm stubborn, so that explains why I won't do that shit. But thanks for watching, guys, and you take care now.